Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of TGC Radio. This is TGC Radio episode 11, and I'm going to be talking about my most listened to music from the week of February 2nd to February 8th, 2024, and let's just jump straight into it, I think, you know? So, my top artist was the band Every Avenue, and then we have AFI. Then we have a tie for number 3 between Against the Current, Echo Smith, and Spanish Love Songs. And then I want to mention Blink-182 and Taking Back Sunday. And then at position number 8, we have a bunch tied as well. And that is Fall Out Boy, Midtown, Motion City Soundtrack, Rise Against, and The Starting Line. And now I figure let's jump straight into albums. Number 1 we're going to mention is Picture Perfect by Every Avenue, Sing the Sorrow by AFI, Talking Dreams by Echo Smith, One More Time by Blink-182, Forget What You Know by Midtown, and No Joy by Spanish Love Songs. And then the only song really worth mentioning here is Tell Me I'm a Wreck by Every Avenue. Now, that is, I think that's a quite interesting kind of lineup of things here compared to the other episodes. Obviously, we have our mainstays like Against the Current, Echo Smith, and Spanish Love Songs. Blink, Taking Back Sunday, Fall Out Boy, and Rise Against are all still around. And appearing in the list, with I think Rise Against now featuring three weeks in a row. But then we also have some kind of first timers here for TGC Radio. That's Every Avenue, AFI, Midtown, and The Starting Line. If I didn't mention Motion City with Fall Out Boy, Rise Against, Blink, and Taking Back Sunday, they're a part of that group as well because they've been featured a couple of times. But yeah, like Midtown, Starting Line, AFI, and Every Avenue really haven't been featured before, and they are here. And mainly, some of these honestly stem from Spotify put together a playlist, apparently just for me, of course, called Emo Forever. And I figured I'm into a lot of like pop punk and emo and post-hardcore and stuff like that. So I figured I'll check that one out and see what they've got in there. And, yeah. And that's kind of like where a lot of these kind of came from for this week that you wouldn't normally expect from me. And like Every Avenue in that playlist, they had Tell Me I'm a Wreck. And it's really funny because for me, I kept being recommended Every Avenue like through Last.fm and Spotify and stuff like that, and I had literally never ever heard of the band. I never knew anyone between either growing up or getting into pop punk and emo in my teenage years even more. So between being a little kid and then being a teenager, both instances hearing a bunch of pop punk and emo, I had never heard about Every Avenue and never known anyone to listen to Every Avenue. So then when Spotify and Last.fm really, the primary sources were recommending Tell Me I'm a Wreck and the album Picture Perfect, I just didn't listen to the recommendation. I just never sat down and listened to them. So then I was in the middle of doing something, just doing some chores around the house, and then Tell Me I'm a Wreck started on this playlist, and then I was like, oh wow, oh shit, this is really good. And then I looked at my phone, and it's like, oh, this is Every Avenue, the band I kept being recommended by Spotify and Last.fm. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think that was pretty funny, just like they literally were a band that I pretty much just intentionally ignored. And it's like, oh wow, this is really good. And then like I sat down, or I listened to Tell Me I'm a Wreck through the playlist, and then I ended up listening to the song again, just like, wow, I wanted to hear this again. And then eventually, I just sat down with the entire record after that second playthrough of Tell Me I'm a Wreck. And it's like, wow, yeah, no, this is really good. I really like Picture Perfect a lot. It's just kind of like, it's just pop punk that I like specifically. You know what I mean? And yeah. every song feels so catchy, so hooky, and like it just hit me like a ton of bricks, you know? And I really like both the song Tell Me I'm a Wreck and Picture Perfect as an album, and I'm very interested in checking out their other 2 records as well. So that's kind of the really interesting part with that. AFI, I've known about AFI for a long time, obviously, you know, who doesn't, right? If you're familiar in any way with punk, emo, pop punk, whatever, like, you probably know at least about AFI. And yeah, you know, I started listening to, I started to put Miss Murder and Girls Not Grey on repeat a little bit. So it's like, okay, listening to both of those, I eventually just, again, finally sat down to fully listen to Sing the Sorrow. I haven't quite finished it, but yeah, you know, Sing the Sorrow is great, an iconic record, and yeah, it's great. You know, I like it a lot, and yeah, that's why AFI is there. Like I said before, I guess the current Echo Smith Spanish love songs, they're almost always there. Spanish love songs, as we know, as I've said in the last couple of episodes, from the stats that I took note of the last couple of episodes, Spanish love songs just hasn't missed an episode so far, and, you know, yeah. And Echo Smith and I guess the current have both been in at least a majority of the episodes as well. Blink and Taking Back Sunday, they're not around every week, but again, they're pretty frequently in the episodes. Motion City, Fall Out Boy, and Rise Against, less so compared to Blink and Taking Back Sunday, but, you know, well, Rise Against, again, being like 3 episodes in a row now, I guess that's not entirely fair. But, you know, less so than both of the previous there, but yeah, you know, they've still been featured multiple times, you know, and I love them a lot. The Starting Line, I don't know how they even got into consideration for this. I swear I only listened to, The Best of Me, like, once. But apparently I listened to more from them, so they got in here. But, yeah. They're fine. I really am only familiar with The Best of Me, and it's a good song. Judging by that one song, I wouldn't particularly come back to them very often, but they're still fine. And then Midtown is another one that I think is really interesting because, differently to Every Avenue, I didn't know about the band Midtown, but I knew their song Give It Up, and as soon as it came on again in that Emo Forever playlist Spotify made, I was like, wow, like, immediately upon hearing, like, the opening riff, it's like, I immediately know what this song is. And then, like, it just kept playing. Again, I was, like, in the middle of doing something. Like, I was in the middle of doing something at work, actually, a task at work. And then it came on while I was doing that. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I know this song. Then, like, I heard the opening riff, I heard the vocalist, and then, like, it got to that chorus, and I was like, I know exactly where I've heard this song before. It was in the soundtrack for Madden NFL 2005, back when I used to play sports games and just enjoy sports a lot. Back when I was a little kid, and it's like, wow, this song is still a fucking banger. Like, oh, I love that song. And kind of like with Tell Me I'm a Wreck, like, it's less so because Tell Me I'm a Wreck has just been absolutely, I've been obsessed with it throughout the whole, I've been obsessed with Tell Me I'm a Wreck throughout the past week. But Give It Up, like I said, less so, but oh, I love that song so much. It's so good, and like, it just reminds me that I do kind of miss the days of like having licensed soundtracks, but I don't know, there was just something special, I think, about the licensed soundtracks of like the mid-2000s, you know? And again, maybe it's just because, like, you know, that's when I was growing up, and I just have so much nostalgia for that, but I don't know, I think back to, like, those mid-2000s Madden soundtracks, and, like, the WWE game soundtracks from around the same time as well, you know, etc., etc. You get the idea. Racing games as well, etc. You know, and like they just felt a lot more diverse, I guess. And in general, mainstream radio and the mainstream charts were also more diverse at the time as well in like musical styles. And it wouldn't be too out of place, you know, to see like on Top 40 radio, you know, to have like a rap song play followed by a pop song followed by like a punk song, you know. That wouldn't be too out of place at the time. And like that's just not the case anymore. And like it feels like in general, like you very much have like, here's pop stations, here's rock stations, here's rap stations, etc. You know, here's a country station, etc. You know, it feels very like kind of like segmented and almost segregated in a way. And I don't know, that kind of sucks because like, again, I think back to those licensed soundtracks in these games from that time period, and it's like, wow. Again, you know, maybe it's just nostalgia on my part, and like I know it's at least a part of that, but I like to think those soundtracks and those songs, a lot of them still are good and hold up pretty well, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of miss that. I just kind of miss the times, you know. Like playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 and then going from like Blackstone Cherry to Rise Against to 3 Days Grace to, I don't remember the artist's name, but the song Money in the Bank. Like, oh, you know, it was just, yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of just miss those days, you know. Where like you could have like a really cool, diverse soundtrack for a game, or just on the radio in general, and it was just cool, you know. But yeah, I know what point I'm trying to make, but something's kind of getting lost in translation here, so I'll just cut it there. But yeah, no, Midtown's Give It Up, I love that song. I remembered immediately as soon as I heard it. Like, I know the song, heard it from Madden 2005, back when I was a little kid who loved football, American football, and playing the games. And some of those things are not true anymore. I don't like sports anymore, and I certainly don't like sports games anymore. I mean, God, the last few wrestling games even I haven't cared for. Like, between AEW's Fight Forever and the few most recent WWE games, I'm like, oh, God. I really didn't care for those. Anyway, that's a completely different conversation. I don't even know if that'll make the video. But yeah, no, different conversations there. Midtown's Give It Up, I like a lot. That's the whole point here. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway. Yeah, and then Tell Me I'm a Wreck, like I said, I've been obsessed with. That's the one song to really mention, but also I just mentioned Give It Up as well. So yeah. And yeah, that's kind of it for the most part. Like I said, you have the mainstays in here, like, again, Against the Current, Echo Smith, Spanish Love Songs, Blink, Taking Back Sunday, Rise Against Now, One More Time, No Joy, Talking Dreams, etc. But then we had songs like Tell Me I'm a Wreck, with on the record Picture Perfect. We had Sing the Sorrow and Forget What You Know. And yeah, we had like AFI in Every Avenue, Midtown, Starting Line, etc. I think that's all really cool, and that's kind of like where I'll leave it, I guess. You know, kind of went on a tangent there, something that's not too related to my most listened to stuff week to week, but I think it's fine. We'll see how it goes. But that's all I got to say, really. So I'll call this an end of the episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment down below, share it on social media, do all that good stuff, and leave in the comment section down below, if you're listening to this right now, list off some songs or some licensed soundtracks from games or movies that you have a lot of love for. But Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.